Then the lodge began to tremble, straight began to shake and tremble, and they felt it rising, rising, slowly through the air ascending, from the darkness of the tree-tops, forth into the dewy starlight, till it passed the topmost branches. And behold, the wooden dishes all were changed to shells of scarlet, and behold, the earthen kettles all were changed to bowls of silver, and the roof poles of the wigwam were as glittering rods of silver, and the roof of bark upon them was the shining shards of beetles. Then Osseo gazed around him, and he saw the 9 fair sisters, all the sisters and their husbands, changed to birds of various plumage. Some were jays, and some were magpies, others thrushes, others blackbirds. They hopped and sang and twittered, perked and fluttered all their feathers, strutted in their shining plumage, and their tails like fans unfolded. Only Owini the youngest was not changed, but sat in silence, wasted, wrinkled, old and ugly, looking sadly at the others, till Osseo, gazing upward, gave another cry of anguish, such a cry as he had uttered by the oak tree in the forest. Then returned her youth and beauty, and her soiled and tattered garments were transformed to robes of ermine, and her staff became a feather, yes, a shining silver feather. And again the wigwam trembled, swayed and rushed through airy currents, through transparent cloud and vapor, and amid celestial splendors on the evening star alighted, as a snowflake falls on snowflake, as a leaf drops on a river, as the thistledown on water. Forth with cheerful words of welcome came the father of Osseo, he with radiant locks of silver, he with eyes serene and tender, and he said, "My son Osseo, hang the cage of birds you bring there. Hang the cage with rods of silver, and the birds with glistening feathers at the doorway of my wigwam." At the door he hung the bird cage, and they entered in and gladly listened to Osseo's father, ruler of the Star of Evening, as he said, "O my Osseo, I have had compassion on you, given you back your youth and beauty. Into birds of various plumage changed your sisters and their husbands, changed them thus because they mocked you in the figure of the old man, in that aspect sad and wrinkled, could not see your heart of passion, could not see your youth immortal. Only Owini the faithful saw your naked heart and loved you. In the lodge that glimmers yonder, in the little star that twinkles through the vapors on the left hand, lives the envious evil spirit, the Wabino, the magician, who transformed you to an old man. Take heed lest his beams fall on you, for the rays he darts around him are the power of his enchantment, are the arrows that he uses. Many years in peace and quiet on the peaceful Star of Evening dwelt Osseo and his father. Many years in song and flutter at the doorway of the wigwam hung the cage with rods of silver. And fair Owini the faithful bore a son unto Osseo, with the beauty of his mother, with the courage of his father. And the boy grew up and prospered, and Osseo, to delight him, made him little bows and arrows, opened the great cage of silver, and let loose his aunts and uncles, all those birds with glossy feathers for his little son to shoot at. Round and round they wheeled and darted, filled the evening star with music, with their songs of joy and freedom, filled the evening star with splendor, with the fluttering of their plumage, till the boy, the little hunter, bent his bow and shot an arrow, shot a swift and fatal arrow, and a bird with shining feathers at his feet fell wounded sorely. But oh, wondrous transformation! 'Twas no bird he saw before him, 'twas a beautiful young woman with the arrow in her bosom. When her blood fell on the planet, on the sacred Star of Evening, broken was the spell of magic, powerless was the strange enchantment, and the youth, the fearless bowman, suddenly felt himself descending, held by unseen hands, but sinking downward through the empty spaces, downward through the clouds and vapours, till he rested on an island green and grassy, yonder in the big sea water. After him he saw descending all the birds with shining feathers, fluttering, falling, wafted downward like the painted leaves of autumn, and the lodge with poles of silver, with its roof like wings of beetles, like the shining shards of beetles, by the winds of heaven uplifted, slowly sank upon the island, bringing back the good Osseo, bringing Owini the faithful. Then the birds, again transfigured, reassumed the shape of mortals, took their shape, but not their stature. They remained as little people, like the pygmies, the Pokwujis. And on pleasant nights of summer, when the evening star was shining, hand in hand they danced together on the island's craggy headlands, on the sand beach, low and level. Still their glittering lodge is seen there on the tranquil summer evenings, and upon the shore the fisher sometimes hears their happy voices, sees them dancing in the starlight. When the story was completed, when the wondrous tale was ended, looking round upon his listeners solemnly, Iago added, "There are great men, I have known such, whom their people understand not, whom they even make a jest of, scoff and jeer at in derision. From the story of Osseo, let us learn the fate of jesters." All the wedding guests, delighted, listened to the marvelous story, listened laughing and applauding, and they whispered to each other, "Does he mean himself, I wonder, and are we the aunts and uncles?" Then again sang Chibiabos, sang a song of love and longing, in those accents sweet and tender, in those tones of pensive sadness, sang a maiden's lamentation for her lover, her Algonquin. When I think of my beloved, ah me, think of my beloved, when my heart is thinking of him, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. Ah me, when I parted from him, round my neck he hung the wampum as a pledge, the snow-white wampum, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. I will go with you, he whispered, ah me, to your native country. Let me go with you, he whispered, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. Far away, away, I answered, very far away, I answered, ah me is my native country, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. When I looked back to behold him, where we parted to behold him, after me he still was gazing, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. By the tree he still was standing, by the fallen tree was standing, that had dropped into the water, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. When I think of my beloved, ah me, think of my beloved, when my heart is thinking of him, oh my sweetheart, my Algonquin. Such was Hiawatha's wedding, such the dance of Paupukiwis, such the story of Iago, such the songs of Chibiabos. Thus the wedding banquet ended, and the wedding guests departed, leaving Hiawatha happy with the knight and Minnehaha.